This is Umar for BoxNation in association with Global Next Trade. Oh, having a having a wonky start to your day, Frank.
What? I'm fucking getting old. I am.
This is one for the bloopers.
Right, you got a load of oh, the old gits on. Right, let's go. Come on, get the old fogey on.
How are you, firstly, Frank?
Telephones.
How are you? You weren't at the show. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I've not managed to shake this flu off properly, and it would have been fair on everybody to start giving them that so much of it around. But I watched it. I watched all of it on the Zone, on the stream and the and live, and it was yeah. I thought it was a good show. I thought some cracking fights on there, and I thought the main event just didn't. The styles didn't blend. It didn't turn out how I expected it to, which would be a real, competitive, exciting fight. It wasn't an exciting fight to watch.
Right, let's just go through the card and start with that main event because that was the biggest talking point of the night, and specifically the scorecards on that. So I'll just ask you straight up, how did you score it, Frank?
I thought Zach won it.
By wide margin?
I think he won it by a few rounds, but I thought he won it. But it was his tactics, which was basically hit and run, and I get that and understand that, but that wasn't exciting. I don't think Josh got going properly. He just didn't get going properly, and as I say, their styles didn't blend. And I think Zach, the times he kept falling on his knees, he'd done it quite a few times in the fight. I don't think that went down well with the judges, and that maybe was one of the reasons they gave it the other way. It shouldn't be, but I think that's what happened. But it's just a great shame.
Frank, isn't that the referee's job to intervene at that point and warn him for falling on the floor?
Well, he say he was pushed down, and but the fact of life is, at the end of the day, the fight didn't catch a light. I really felt, especially coming off the show we had the week before. Now I know that's a tough act to follow, but some of those fights, they were really well matched. Really well matched fights and exciting fights on the undercard. Very exciting fights.
So what did you make of Joshua Buatsi performance? Because he just couldn't get going on the night.
I just don't think I think you said it. He just didn't get going. He just didn't seem to get in the groove, and it's one of those fights where the styles just did not blend, and that's me. I got that wrong. I thought they would have done. I thought we'd have had some real excitement now, edge of your seat stuff.
Well, yeah, if you look at, when Zach Parker was really going strong and had the Andrade fight scheduled, he was going in there and blasting people out, a come-forward fighter, an exciting fighter. And when we've seen Joshua Buatsi getting a war like the Callum Smith fight, he's a very entertaining fighter himself. But obviously, Zach had his game plan. Errol Johnson had their game plan, which is fair enough. You got to do what you got to do to win, which is kind of stay on the outside and annoy Joshua Buatsi, which was working. In terms of, you mentioned falling on the floor, etc., did you think the referee should have intervened, though, Frank, and warned him?
Well, he could be saying he's falling. What he's doing is when, he's sort of low, and Josh is obviously on top of him, so he'll say that he was pushed down. But irrespective, he'd done that in a fight before as well, and I think that's something that I spoke with Neil Marsh yesterday. We were talking about it, and we're just being honest, and it doesn't, for me, it's not a good look. That's not a good look. But they'd done their homework. They decided how they were going to fight, and they fought how they fought. And and if it's about hitting and not being hit, that's he gets the decision, which he didn't get. But look, it is what it is, and it's not the first time, and it certainly won't be the last time something like that happens. But it's just that I was disappointed because I really thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be a real stormer of a fight.
Paul Frampton, and a lot of people, to be fair, had it 9-1. A lot of people had it 8-2. Did you see that margin at all?
No, but I thought he won it.
Okay, considering you thought he won it, Frank, and obviously he was very devastated after he said, I should be changing my newborn's life from this fight. Will Zach Parker get a big opportunity with you guys next?
We'll see what fights are out there for him, for him. And of course, we've got quite a few light heavyweights with us. We'll see. Um, and I haven't thought of anything at the moment for either of them. And we just have to sit down with both of them and see where we go. But there's plenty of opportunities there. But look, it's we're in this era now and this age where we want excitement. We just want the excitement on there, and as I say, we lit the old fuse, but it just didn't explode.
Just a last one on Zach Parker as well, because after the John Ryder fight, he had he'll admit himself, some very subpar performances, and I think that's why Joshua Buatsi in the main event was heavily picked. But I think that was the more frustrating thing for him, that actually Zach showed, albeit with some different tactics, that he can still very much compete at the top level, because the last few performances weren't that from Zach Parker.
Yeah, but he'd come up a weight, and he came up a weight, and he settled in, and I'm a part of that. I agree, and that's one of the reasons, for both of them. I thought the fight would explode. But look, Josh got the decision. He's got the result, and that's where it's at. There's a lot of talk about, you know, rematch and complaining to get the relative governing body to order that and so forth. We'll see where that goes. But I don't. I've got to be honest. I don't want to see that fight like that again. I found it at times a hard watch.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I mean, two of the judges giving 6 rounds to Joshua Buatsi. Should they come out and explain how they've got to that conclusion? Two of
Well,
them. We're
they're
not
not
talking
going
about
to,
boxing.
are they? It doesn't happen. No more than football referees do that. It doesn't happen. And when if there's any, I'm not talking about this particular fight, but I'm talking about, and I've said it a million times. If a judge, if people feel, or there's a uh, big concern about how judges score fights, then they should look at the judges and make a decision whether they should be downgraded and so forth. I mean, that's up to the respective organisations to deal with that. But there should be some sort of penalty. You can't. I mean, we've had it too often in a lot of fights recently. That's for sure. Well, same recently, but over the last few years, and yeah, it does. It's we need it. We need more. We need more accountability. That's what there should be for fights. There should be accountability for everybody involved, including me, including everyone. We out there banging a drum, and that's why I'm saying it how it is, and I'm sure I'm going to piss everybody off in what I'm saying, the fighters and everybody. But I sat at home, I watched it on TV, and I'm just saying how it seemed to me.
In terms of the board then and judging, look, it's happened before. If you think back to the first Taylor Catterall fight, springs to mind. We could be talking in 12 months down the line, and something could happen again like this. Frank, do the license holders, are you yourselves, Matchroom, all the other promoters in this country, do they need to now go to the board and say, we need a
It's not.
system?
But you've got to understand, it's not the board. The board are responsible for the fights. They license this fall under their regulations. So, for example, if there's I don't know, WBC, WBO, whatever the governing body is, then they don't appoint the officials. The officials are appointed by the governing body whose title's on the line.
So in this
Or
case,
the
the
or the
WVA.
or the and two of those officials were foreign officials
Yeah.
on Saturday. They weren't appointed by the board. The board obviously put forward the referee and put forward one of the judges.
Okay, that makes it more difficult because then you're dealing with different organizations and
Yeah, it does, but there should be some accountability. That's a cop out, and and I'm not saying about going banging on too much about this fight. I'm saying in general, if there is a problem, then it needs to be dealt with. And we've talked about this time and time again and it's just not, it just doesn't seem to register with anybody. You can't just, you have a bad night at the office, and then the following week you back out again, judging a big fight. It doesn't happen if you're a football referee. As I'm repeating myself again, a football referee doesn't, in any match, in Premiership match, if he's not up to scratch, he gets downgraded, and they don't mess about. They do it.
Okay. In terms of Joshua Buatsi, look, the winner of this fight, their eyes going to be firmly set, of course, on Benavidez-Yarde, November 22nd in Riyadh, which is a brilliant card, and that tops the bill. So, is the plan to move Joshua Buatsi towards the winner of that fight, Frank?
No, the plan is to see what happens. There's no plan at the moment. The plan was obviously to push him. I don't know whether that would happen now, to be quite honest. Let's see what happens with a fight in Riyadh on the 22nd. As you say, it's a fabulous fight card. 4 world title fights on the Riyadh season show. It's a brilliant show. Got a couple of Brits, 2 Brits who've been with us from day one, in Anthony Yarde and Sam Noakes, both contesting world titles in tough fights, both in tough fights. And we'll see how they come out of it. And then as far as the light heavyweight division is concerned, we'll see where we go. But the light heavyweights, there were some bloody good fights on there on Saturday night, some cracking fights on there. And maybe if the fight can't be made with a winner of that fight on the 22nd, then maybe that Josh and Zach fight some of the guys who fought on Saturday. And you got Willie Hutchison there. We've got quite a few light heavyweights there to make some fights.
Right.
But we want excitement. We want excitement. He boxed well. He boxed to orders, but it wasn't an attractive fight to watch.
Last one on the main event. Of course, Joshua Buatsi's got a legendary trainer in his corner in Virgil Hunter. But what did you make of the advice, the advice you picked up on DAZN on the broadcast given to Joshua Buatsi throughout that fight?
Look, it's not about I'm not going to criticize him either. It's not about the advice given and whatever. It's about, at the end of the day, what the fighter does in the ring. He's in the ring. I've seen lots of fighters being given advice in corners. And when I've worked corners in my younger days, and you're telling a fighter one thing, go out and do something else. The fight just did not take off. It did not become what we expected. And if I was Virgil Hunter, I'd just say to him, well, what are you on about? We got to win. That'll be their mentality and where they're coming from.
Okay, let's talk about Lyndon Arthur's win over Brad Ray. Brad Ray started emphatically, really quick.
Bloody good fight.
Dropped Lyndon, a heavy knockdown, I thought. It was a really good shot. But Lyndon came back fantastically well in that fight.
He did. He boxed extremely well. His jab was a really, really potent weapon in the fight. But both of them, I've got to take the hat off to both of those. That was a cracker of a fight. And Brad, I thought was, he should be very proud of what he did. He looked at one stage, he looked like he was going to win the fight.
Yeah.
And I think it was the experience that Lyndon had that got him through it.
Yeah, look, he's always had it. That jab and that right hand that follows Lyndon's textbook he's got in his locker.
Yeah. And it's the experience. But, he'll learn from it. He'll learn from it, the other guy. He'll learn from it, and I'm sure he will. He's not a schmuck. He's a smart guy.
And of course, even though he lost, Brad Ray, I'm sure you're absolutely glad that you signed him because he's a very exciting fighter.
Yeah, I am. I like him. I like him, and they look. At the end of the day, he gave a great account of himself. It was a good fight to watch. It was an exciting fight from the first round, first bell to the end. It was an exciting fight to watch.
And then, of course, the other big fight on that card was between Liam Cameron and Troy Jones. Sorry to bring up scoring again, Frank. And this is nothing, obviously, against Joshua Buatsi or Liam Cameron. Both fantastic guys, really nice guys of the sport. And Liam's story has been tremendous. I thought a very competitive fight, but I did think Troy Jones won the fight, and most people did as well. What did you make of the scorecards?
I thought it was a very, very close fight, a very, very close fight. And I like Troy. I like him as well. I thought he boxed well. And Liam did as well. You say it's a great story. And, there is a case for what you say. There is a case for what you say, but it's a bloody, it was a bloody competitive and hard fought fight between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, the early rounds, I thought Troy was really dominating. Liam came back into the fight really
He
well.
did. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what happened. But Troy's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's a good fighter.
So,
And Liam, Liam on his day, he gets himself like he's done in a couple of occasions, gets himself right. He's a handful. But he was fortunate on the night, and it was, as I say, very close fight. He was very fortunate. Liam, he come for it, and I take my hat off to him, and off to Troy. Troy come again. He's a good fighter.
okay, the other fight I actually need to mention is between Billy and Ezra, the obviously the one that opened up the DAZN broadcast. Scrappy at times, Ezra, his style, but I thought Billy boxed a good fight.
Billy boxed extremely well. I really did. I've got to take again. I was really pleased with what I see with him. He kept his composure throughout the fight. Got caught a couple of times, but I'll tell you what, he stayed to his task and stood his ground and come through and done what he had to do. And I thought he was the deserved winner.
So, out of those four fights, and then of course you had Willie Hutchinson and Ezra Taylor ringside as well. How do you now maneuver who fights who?
We'll make the fights and we'll make an announcement. We're going to put another big card together, and that you've got a pot there of pot of really good quality fighters that will fight each other. That's what will happen. That's what it's all about. And hopefully, if the fights turn out as most of the time they do, when we make these fights, we'll see some crackers.
Can I ask, is a rematch between Buatsi and Hutchinson quite likely?
Well, look, it could be ordered. Who knows? I mean, there's complaint. I think the complaint's being made by his team, and maybe
No, no, Frank, a rematch between Willie Hutchinson and Joshua
Oh,
Buatsi.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry. Oh,
is
Willie
that more likely?
Hutchinson. Well,
Yeah,
Willie'd like it, and I'm sure Joshua will. Again, it's something that we'll consider and look at. Sorry, I thought you meant the previous fight.
yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Just a couple. Is there anything else you want to add from the card?
No, it's just a good card. A couple of good them youngsters on there early in the evening. There's a couple of good debuts and some good wins there. It's very, very good show. Very good show.
Okay. Just a couple of things I want to address with you, please, Frank. So Dan Raphael reported that the WBA are going to sanction Pulev and Gassiev with a special permit, which means Moses has to wait. Just get your thoughts on that.
Well, I've got to be honest, I'm pissed off with that, because why on earth would you put out the Pulev fight and allow another fight? It doesn't make any sense. Surely you wait for that fight to be over and say you fight the winner. How will you putting a fight out, and how are we supposed to negotiate with Pulev when he's got another fight on? It's just so stupid, so ridiculous, and such a bloody waste of time. And we're obviously today making a decision what we're going to do as far as that's concerned. But Moses, we had a meeting this morning, and we're going to be announcing something next week where we're at.
Okay. Does that mean you're going to be taking perhaps legal action with the WBA?
I'm not going into any of that yet. I just said, you just asked me, and I just told you what we're going to do. We're going to sit down and look at our options. But what they've done is ridiculous. It's beyond why even put the fight out? I mean, nuts, totally nuts.
Okay. Last one I want to close off on. Fabio Wardley. So what is the situation? I know Lee Eaton went out to Colombia for the WBO convention. Has that fight with Usyk and Wardley been ordered yet?
I think today they're going to order the negotiations,
Okay, fantastic.
and we'll see where we go. Fabio deserves his opportunity after that tremendous performance that he put in.
Brilliant. Listen, Frank, that is it for today. Is there anything you'd like to leave on?
No, we're going to announce. I think we're announcing the opponent today and we're having a press conference in Düsseldorf on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that. And Agit's getting his wish to fight in Germany. We're delivering for him.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Frank, appreciate your time as always, and I will see you when I'm next looking at you.
Not if I see you first.
Cheers, Frank. Thank you. Take care.
Really not something good.